Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am super excited you're here because today we're doing something that is honestly a bit of a game changer. We're taking some incredible, timeless, ancient wisdom and flipping it into a highly practical, totally modern toolkit for your own personal growth. So let's just jump right in. We're going to kick things off with a parable that completely flips how we tend to think about success. And after that, we're going to break down a really actionable, strict life checklist drawn straight from the ancient philosopher Chanakya. If you're looking for a completely no-nonsense blueprint to actually level up your life, you are in the perfect place.
So think about this for a second. A staggering 90% of people in the world today are struggling financially. And yeah, that actually includes the middle class in that massive 90% slice. Because let's be real, these days, a huge chunk of the middle class is living paycheck to paycheck, feeling the exact same pressures as anyone else. Now, when you ask folks in that massive group why they're struggling, what's the usual response? Right? They point fingers. They blame the government. They blame the economy. They blame bad luck. A lot of people even throw their hands up and say God just didn't favor them. Like if they were meant to be rich, it would have just magically happened. But, those are just the usual scapegoats.
Which brings us to a really crucial question. If basically everyone is struggling, and those standard excuses aren't actually the root of the problem, who or what is really to blame here? It's a tough question, right? It totally challenges our everyday mindset. Now, I could just throw a one-liner at you, but honestly, it's way better if we look at it through a story. A really brilliant little story about two families living side by side in a small river town.
Okay, so picture these two neighbors. They have the exact same starting line in life. Both are fishermen. On day one, they head out and they both catch exactly 10 fish. They both sell those fish for 1,000 taka. But here is where their paths completely diverge. Fisherman number one takes his 1,000 taka, buys some great food, pays for some entertainment, and just entirely blows whatever tiny bit is left over. He spends exactly what he earns. Fisherman number two, he takes a radically different approach. He decides to run his entire household on just 300 taka. It is a super tight budget, he lives really frugally, but he makes it work. And he strictly saves the remaining 700 taka. Now, when the first guy asks him, hey, why don't you enjoy life a little? We barely make anything anyway. The saver just stays quiet and sticks to his discipline.
Now watch how this absolutely skyrockets over time, just through the magic of compounding. On day two, the thrifty guy saves another 700 taka. Within just a few days, he dips into those savings, thinks 1,000 taka, buys a brand new fishing net, and actually hires a guy for 400 taka a day to go out and work it. Suddenly, he's catching 20 fish a day. Fast forward 1 month, he's bought 5 nets, catching 50 fish from his hired crew, plus his own 10. He's now pulling in 60 fish a day, which is worth 6,000 taka. He is feeding his family incredibly well and banking a massive 3,500 taka every single day. Flash forward a few years, he doesn't even do physical labor anymore. He manages a wealthy, thriving business from the comfort of his home, while his neighbor is still out there on the river, grinding away, catching his 10 fish, and spending every last dime.
And honestly, that right there illustrates the absolute core lesson of this parable. Hard work alone did not make that second man wealthy. The first guy worked his tail off every single day right next to him, but he stayed poor. The real game changer, it was applying thought, planning, and building an actual system. The first man's fatal flaw was just trading his future for momentary pleasures. The second man used his head. Literally every successful person or business you see out there today had to follow a structured plan at some point to get where they are.
Which leads us directly into the foundational steps of this kind of system, pulling heavily from Chanakya's ancient wisdom. Step 1, save consistently. It really doesn't matter how small your income is. You have to save for future problems, or you are going to get wiped out when trouble inevitably hits. Step 2, plan intelligently. Run the entire strategy clearly in your mind first. And step 3, and this one is absolutely vital, execute quietly. Chanakya was super explicit about this. Do not broadcast your life plans. I know we all love to announce our goals on social media, but plans can fail. And if you run your mouth, people will exploit your weaknesses, so execute quietly. Trust me, when you finally succeed, everyone is going to notice anyway.
All right, moving on to the personal growth checklist, applying Chanakya's ancient maxims.
We're going to transform all this profound wisdom into a rapid-fire playbook. Here are the 5 key rules. Learn something daily, audit your inner circle, protect your secrets, solve problems immediately, and test character like gold. Let's break these down.
Starting with rule number 1, and I literally cannot stress this enough, never let a single day pass without learning something new. It sounds so basic, right? But the consistency is where the magic happens. Even if it's just a tiny fraction of the new concepts, or literally just looking up one new word, you have to force your mind to expand a little bit every 24 hours. That daily compounding of knowledge, that is the intellectual equivalent of our fisherman saving his 700 taka every single day. 0. What do you think that represents? Well, 0 is the exact number of problems you should try to just live with. We do this all the time, right? We tolerate these small annoyances, bad habits, little conflicts, and we tell ourselves, it's not a big deal. But Chanakya's rule is crystal clear here. Do not live with your problems, because ignored problems do not magically disappear, they grow. You have to face them and solve them immediately before they multiply and become completely unmanageable.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about the people around you, starting with a really stark, ancient comparison. What is the difference between a venomous snake and a bad person? Think about it. A snake is incredibly dangerous, sure, but generally it's not going to bite you unless you step on it or provoke it. A bad person, though, they will try to drag you down and harm you regardless of the situation, even if you've been nothing but kind to them. So the rule here is absolute. You have to completely cut out friendships with abusive or corrupt people, no exceptions. We sometimes keep them around out of habit, but just one truly toxic friend can derail your entire life.
And then you have to watch out for what we can call poison milk. You know exactly who these people are. They smile, they flatter you to your face, they hype you up, but behind your back they are completely lethal. They look totally pure and harmless on the surface, but they are toxic underneath. And this actually ties into a much larger rule about trust. Don't just blindly hand over everything to your good friends either. Even close friends might use your personal secrets against you if you two ever have a falling out. Keep your most private things protected.
So that begs the question, how do you actually figure out who is genuinely good? Well, consider this quote. To test gold's authenticity, you heat it, cut it, beat it, and polish it. You don't just look at a piece of gold and say, yep, looks real. You put it under intense physical stress. It's the exact same with people. A person's true nature is never revealed when life is easy and fun. It is only genuinely exposed through their character, their actual skills, how they handle a real struggle, and how they behave when the pressure is dialed all the way up.
And that leads to what you should actually be looking for in your inner circle. Look for the unmoving sea. When the sudden violent storms of life hit, and they always do, a normal sea gets whipped up into a frenzy and destroys everything around it. But a truly grounded person doesn't change their core character, no matter what kind of chaos gets thrown at them. Their integrity and their kindness stay completely steady. When you find people who stay anchored like that during life's worst turbulence, those are the people you hold on to.
We've covered a ton of ground today, all the way from the riverbanks of a small fishing town, right to the hard-hitting wisdom of ancient philosophy. So I want to leave you with one final, provocative question. Take a hard look at your life right now. Are you actively building a system for your future? Learning daily, curating a rock-solid circle of friends, executing your plans quietly? Or are you just spending today's catch, living entirely for the moment with zero safety net? Take this checklist, start applying these rules, and build your system today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I really hope this sparks a massive positive change in how you tackle tomorrow.